Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we sneak up on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade 1 minute at a time. I'm the Admiral, Pete Mummert.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Gerald Christopher St. Florentius of Strasbourg, who he protects against ruptures.
Ruptures?
Ruptures.
Ruptures.
Yes, you Florentius of Strasbourg. Yes, if you're afraid of ruptures. Yeah, for instance, maybe that one Nazi with his rucksuckle.
Yeah.
We all
that's the
talked
first thing
about
I
that,
thought
and
of.
that probably
Yeah.
got ruptured. He maybe beforehand had prayed particularly to Saint Florentius, maybe his rucksuckle would have remained intact.
Is it just ruptures, or is there a separate guy for like punctures or breaches or
No, I think it's just ruptures. I mean, there's other
Wow.
things. I think like coxswains and
Mm-hmm.
like
Sure.
patron saint of lighthouses. But I think it's ruptures. It wasn't ruptures and punctures.
Well, ruptures is such like a specific, like people must pray to him all the time. They're like, oh, this thing tore. He's like, no, that's a tear. I'm just ruptures. You want Saint Copious, whatever his name is. Yeah.
Exact. Well, there is that Porter.
My God.
And we are joined once again today by preeminent Nazi tank expert Bert Tunnell. Welcome back, Bert.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah,
Doing all right.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank God you're here.
Yeah.
rupturing all over this minute.
Well, can I lead with a Jerry Porter thought? Because one of the things that I wanted to do in my time with you guys is sort of channel my inner Jerry, my inner Pete, my inner Tommy. We got a little bit of that with the last minute with Tommy and my slow devolution of I used to love Last Crusade and it's slipping from me. But my Jerry thought of Last Crusade is that the Last Crusade is a study of modes of transportation that Indy uses and which he gets on, but he may or may not destroy. So we start with the Cub Scout horse, which he rides and then abandons. And then there's the circus train that he perforates. And then there's the Coronado boat that he blows up. And then there's the plane to Venice that he does survive, and the plane survives. The boat in Venice gets crushed.
Mm-hmm.
He sends boats
Yeah.
driverless down the river, so obviously they sink.
Yeah.
He rides and destroys so many motorcycles. So many motorcycles. The Zeppelin makes it, but he steals a biplane off it and crashes that. He steals a man's car and drops it into a crater. And spoiler warning, he takes a tank off a cliff and rides it, and then in the end rides horses into the sunset. So that's my Jerry Porter contribution to
Maybe he rides the horses into the sun and kills them.
no, and honestly, Tommy, my thought was that he rides them into the sunset and then eats them as hamburger meat.
Wow.
Probably.
Well, as someone who
It
doesn't...
sounds exactly like my inner what's going on inside me before it ruptures. Taking a theme and drawing it out to a ridiculous level, and then staring at it and that's preposterous.
As somebody who doesn't own a car, I like thinking that suddenly Indy is just this rabid pedestrian advocate. Like he's trying to destroy any other means of vehicular transport.
We even talked about in Raiders how he kind of ditched that white horse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was something sad about it.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah,
Wasn't even his horse.
Yeah, he kind
He'll
of
never
jumped
find his
off
way
the
home.
horse, and the horse was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait a minute,
That's it?
where are you going,
Dude.
Yeah, what are you? What are you
I'm right
blocking
here.
me?
Come on.
I thought we had a thing.
You didn't answer my calls."
Remember all the good times.
Well, let's continue the sad theme here with minute 87,
Oh no.
which begins with the brethren of the cruciform sword realizing that they are the world's absolute worst marksmen and fleeing for their lives, and it ends with Henry gleefully sneaking up on his old buddy Marcus the Sad Sack in order to startle him out of his poor wits.
Tap tap tap. Hey bud.
And to start this off, I'm curious because this second soldier here that starts shooting, I'm wondering if he has some Brotherhood leanings, because he just shoots wildly in the air, obviously not intending to hit anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first guy mows down a bunch of guys, and the other guy just kind of goes like to the
Yeah.
complete right of where everybody is.
Yeah.
Pew 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 pew.
He's like, "I signed up for the
I have a
army
gun
for the
too."
free shoes." No, he does. He shoots over them, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, he shoots over them.
so if he's from the army of Hittite, maybe he knows some of these guys. Maybe he's like, hey, I'm not going to kill these guys. I like these guys.
Yeah.
That's interesting. What I noticed is, the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sorters are retreating, and I think we might have a rash of unprepared souls here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I see. I think a lot of guys may have just lied just to get that nifty tattoo. And then I thought about this. What? What if the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword is really just Dr. Seuss's The Sneetches? Like maybe Sylvester McMonkey McBean. He came to town. He showed up and he sold him a bunch of stars on Dars.
Yeah. That
He's
could
just,
be.
getting the tattoo.
So
and you
there's
get
like
it
an
off.
even-
He charges $1. Yeah,
Jerry,
$1 a tattoo.
that is a deep cut. Holy God.
Oh yeah.
The Sneetches.
Well, maybe.
My
So do you
second
think there's like
favorite
a
book.
whole other cruciform sword brotherhood that doesn't have the tattoo, and they're even better at this, or at least they think they're better at this, and they're going to be
Well,
like down
I
the pike
think
a little
well,
bit?
if I know Sylvester McMonkey McBean,
Yeah.
he's doing like he's playing both sides of it. It's like, you need to get the cruciform tattoo.
Yeah.
Here's $1. Just give me
Yeah.
$1, and you go through the machine.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, those cruciform tattoos are has-been. You know what
That was
happens when you go
last
to the
week.
beach? Yeah, everybody sees that you're part of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And it's you don't really get to work surreptitiously behind the wall there. So
Yeah.
you got to get them removed. I
The
just need
tattoo off
$1.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah, the tattoo off machine.
Well, I've got a question. Are these guys all just going to Natalie Portman and jump up and run off anyway? Like, have they all been getting sips from the Grail as part of being part of the Brotherhood? So, like, are they just like are these very superficial wounds?
Can we rewind to your Natalie Portman verbiage of
Thank you,
what you're
Bert.
talking about? Like what?
And when she falls off of that, I forgot what they're called. That
Whatever. The flying
that
I know.
airship.
yeah.
Yeah,
Episode
she falls
3.
into the sand, and she's like, just mortally wounded, and then she just hops up
And
and,
then
starts
she gets
jogging off. Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally agree with the sentiment, but what was your question?
Oh wait, so you're saying these guys were getting shot down? They're just actually going to be fine?
well,
Just gotta
I'm
jump
wondering, are they going to be like? Have they been getting sips from the Grail? Like, are they going? Is this just like they're
Oh,
going to pop
maybe.
up in a little while?
But then
they're
you'd
fine?
think, if you're getting sips from the Grail and you have everlasting life, then why would you ever retreat? Unless you just encountered a really bad smell.
Yeah. It's not even God can save you from that.
Whoa.
I'm
Either
starting
that
to
or
think
they-
that the cruciform sword, the Brotherhood, I'm thinking they have no connection to the Grail at all. They're just like their own little like survivalist
Yeah.
club, and they put themselves in charge of protecting the Grail, and they don't know a
Exactly.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
They've never seen it. They have no idea where it is. They're excited they might find out where it is if they follow these bad guys for long
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
They're like heaven's
Yeah.
angels.
Right. What's weird is they there's the shot, this one guy, by the way, he's not wearing a fez, this dead guy. He's wearing like almost looks like a beret. I know it's not a beret, so don't make fun of me, but it's like a squatter rounder hat with the cruciform thing on it. But anyway, he's laying there dead, and like this Nazi hand comes in and pulls down his thing. Like, why did that, to reveal the tattoo? And I'm wondering what inspired him, whoever that is, to, this looks like the kind of guy who might have a tattoo on his chest. I'm going to say, I was right. He's got a tattoo on his chest.
And you know what? I actually think that is Sylvester McMonkey McBean.
Oh, maybe.
I don't think that's a Nazi, because none of that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. For like his accounting, he has to be sure like who did go through the tattoo on machine,
exactly.
the tattoo off machine.
He has like some guys had to buy the tattoo on credit.
Right.
He's sitting there like, damn
Well,
it.
this guy's dead, so I guess you get a freebie for the tattoo off. Sure, go ahead.
Well, I
You know
don't
what's-
want
you
to.
know
I don't want to take away your Sneechy McSneecherson thing, Jared. But the script does say that that's Vogel's hand, because I was wondering whose hand that was too.
Oh, I assumed it was. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't
No,
know that,
of
but I
course,
assumed it
of
was.
course. You have to be particularly evil to wear a glove like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They don't just pass those out for the regular humdrum evils.
It's good. It's like Chekhov's glove too. It's got some good foreshadowing.
But what's so weird is then if we watch this scene, you're like, okay, so Vogel clearly knows about the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword.
I guess so.
There's no way. No, there's no way you're gonna come up to a guy who does this.
Pull
I mean,
open his
he
shirt.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tattoo peeker.
Yeah. Or he's just
Yeah,
like,
he
hey,
just
this guy
peeks-
works
yeah.
out. Oh, yeah, look at that. Wow. Jesus.
He just pulls just a little part of it down, so you're like, okay, he clearly is. He's Vogel's put it together. Like these, like Donovan and Elsa are like, oh, that's Jones. It's Jones. I'm sure it's Jones. And Vogel's like, man, these guys are such greenhorns. That's not Jones.
Right.
What did they, and he knows it's not Jones because he knows to pull down. It's like it's obviously the Brotherhood of the Cruciform form uniform.
Yeah.
So
What is their official name? You called them the Brethren.
They're called.
They're the
well, in the
Brotherhood?
script they call them the
Brotherhood.
Brethren when they're spoken of collectively, but it's the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah.
But have they had contact with the Nazis? Like, do they know about each other? Like, Jerry, you're saying you think they do, but like,
Well,
do
I
the
would not
Nazis,
think
have
they do
met
at
each other?
all. I would never have thought they would have ever met at all. Except this scene changes everything. And if I'm not to believe that this is if I'm to believe this is the first time they've met, that I'm calling bullwhip. That's stupid.
It's with the way Kazim knew so much about like where Henry was held and all this stuff. You get the sense that even if they haven't like sat down at a table together, the Nazis must be aware somehow of these guys sneaking around and into their business. Maybe.
Uh-huh.
There's no way the guy's gonna pull down his chemise and look for start peeking at a tattoo randomly.
Although-
That's not. By the way, they're in a firefight.
Yeah. Although
Who goes tattoo peeking?
in the castle, Jerry, you were talking about maybe Vogel had a special German way of saying goodbye, and he had a piercing. Maybe he's looking for a piercing.
Okay, Uncle Pete, Uncle.
Do you?
Is this
did you-
strictly for the audience? Is this just like?
Yeah.
yeah, I think
But
so.
that's-
It's gotta be.
But we just
yeah.
saw Kazim, and they've all got their
Yeah.
away fezzes
Yeah.
on. So you got the cruciform right there. That's all very.
Is
I
it?
don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I think
movie-ish.
it's. Yeah, yeah. You know what's interesting about that guy? That guy, like, I can't tell if he, like, does he roll over and die? Or does somebody roll him over and he's dead? Or does he, like, does he die because somebody rolled him over? Like, it's, like, the way it's shot, he kind of rolls over and goes, oh.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
He seems to
And
land
you're like,
exactly
so-
where Vogel needs him to.
It's kind of funny, and I'm trying to. I just watched that over and over again, and I'm like, okay, so did he get shot and he rolled over and dies? Wasn't that an old insult in grade school? Why don't you roll over and die?
You had
Just like
rough
a
grade
brotherhood
school.
of the cruciform sword.
He didn't get through many of his bullets in his bandolier either.
No.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
This the music here though reminds me a lot of Return of the Jedi when you think that the Ewoks are being routed and Indy and Saul are here crouching and they're watching everybody kind of flee and like run off.
Yeah.
It's sort of a dark little moment here in the midst of the battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indy's mean to Sala.
Yeah, I'm getting into my discomfort zone.
Yeah.
That's why I'm scared. I knew it was approaching.
So yeah, Indy says I'm going after those horses, and Sala says I'll take the camels, and Indy says I don't need camels, and Sala says but Indy, and Indy says no camels. And is he just
Is it-
being bossy, or is
can-
is this employer-employee relationship?
Can we unpack that a little bit?
Uh huh.
Because that seems a little aggressive on Indy's part.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Him saying, "I don't need camels." You're going in the desert. I think camels.
Well, let's trust the guy who lives in the desert.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jerry,
Yeah.
that is
as,
what
as
I'm
opposed
saying.
to
Yeah.
opposed to the guy who cowers in Rawls Hall at Marshall College. In his office hours. The geology building, he's cowering.
Oh man.
What would you know? You need camels or horses?
Can I? I'm gonna channel my own inner Tom Taylor for just a minute. And be
Uh-oh.
like, why? This is like a setup for something that kind of comes. Like I don't get why there's all this camel talk. Why are they talking about camels right now? And why do they talk about camels later? Sala shows up later with camels, and then he doesn't think he knows how to count. And like, why is that in the movie?
I think it's just a setup
People
for that
quote
gag.
that line all the time, so people are probably mad at me.
But they quote that line
Yeah.
all the they quote. No, here's the thing. Especially on our listeners' crusade, this is one of the more famous lines of the movie, or at least something about camels and counting camels. And I said no camels, which I don't remember any of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. It is confusing as to. I guess it's some signature tagline of the film or something. But it does. This scene when you're first watching it, it is a little strange, especially the vitriol with which Indy, throws back at Sala. He goes, he said, we don't need camels.
Right.
Like it's weird and
Yeah.
nasty.
No
and
camels.
he's been dehatted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
No, this whole thing gets really like super weird and almost colonial here. It's like Indy's like, I'm the boss. You do what I tell you to do. Shut up and don't talk. Which I
That
don't
or there is some backstory that Indy's like, "No, I don't need camels." Like, okay, tell us about that because that seems super interesting.
Yeah. And like Sala doesn't even know.
Exactly.
Are camels the new snakes?
That's what it almost seems. Yeah, it's like a weird. It almost seems that way in a weird way, but I don't think that's it. I think it's just.
Yeah.
I honestly don't get it.
I don't either. I don't either.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Pete. That's awesome. That's so refreshing to hear. I mean, you don't have to say, "Oh no," I'm just glad that you're honestly confused.
Yeah, I am. I'm starting to hate fun.
That's tantamount to you being furious. I like it.
I will say though, Henry seems remarkably brave here. And I can't tell if he's brave or he's just like so caught up in his excitement to sneak up on Marcus that he doesn't realize what's going on around him. But I think it's really interesting.
He's very dumb.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting how they paint him because he's like, you kind of look at him like the little kid who's running into a dangerous situation when his parents turn their attention away.
Yeah. It's weird because last time we saw him, Indy's telling him to just like stay low and stay here while we go get some horses and no camels.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time you see him, he's running across. It feels like we missed something. Like he was like,
Well,
Marcus is in the
actually,
tank.
It's like Barry.
what
in
is
Close
going
Encounters.
on? It's like Barry in Close Encounters. I think what is going on here is we see a bookworm in pupa stage,
Oh yeah.
metamorphosizing into a true field worm, or maybe even a field butterfly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might have a field butterfly
Yeah.
because Henry's taking action now. Now, like with what you said, Pete or Tommy, who knows what the hell the action is because we don't know where the hell he's going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we know where he's going. I think Henry, we know where he's going. I think.
Did you know he was going to go to the tank?
Yeah, I feel like he's on a mission now. Like he's got a clear plan of action and he knows what he wants to do. Like he wants to go sneak up on Marcus. And he wants to rescue him. Like he's I'm Henry Jones. I'm here to rescue you.
Well, I guess he's in the chrysalis stage, about to blossom forth in a new phase of life.
Yeah.
Maybe. Now that he's an old man.
To feel butterfly. Yeah.
It's like a Zen cone.
Don't get him yelling cone again.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we have another real big one we need to unpack here. Why is Elsa so troubled here? Because I'm not buying this compassionate Nazi crap.
Hey, he's not a book. Why is she crying? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, the script even calls out. It says she looks saddened, which I was trying to figure out what her reaction was here. But the other reason I could think she'd be sad is she's secretly working with, maybe she knows Kazim, and she's trying to lure all these Nazis to their deaths so she can go get the Grail. Or does she see her own mortality if she doesn't find the Grail when she sees Kazim here?
This kind of makes sense. I actually I didn't really think about it this much. I kind of buy her sadness, and I don't know. I see her thinking about, this sounds silly, but I see her thinking about, oh, I was pretending to be on Indy's side when we were in the boat, but that was still a thing. Like maybe that could have been like a real thing. Maybe I could have been on Indy's side and we talked to Kazim, and that was back in the old days when I was in Venice. You know, maybe like seeing him is like a connection to when she was, you know, ostensibly on Indy's side or something, and you know, quote unquote good or something like that. In that sense, I kind of buy it.
Uh-huh.
So my Elsa thoughts are very simple. The reason we don't remember Elsa is because she has no depth. If I were to ask each of you, describe Elsa, you would struggle to give me any kind of description of Elsa. But if I asked you for a description of Marion, you could give me 10 minutes of this is why we love Marion and blah, blah, blah. Elsa is a flawed figure because there's nothing to her.
She's like a nothing bratwurst.
She is no.
She's like a
totally agree.
She's a not worst.
Not
Oh
worst.
my god, she is a not worst.
Thanks, Pete.
That
it was
is
rolling around the
another-
edge. You dunked it in. Yeah, you dunked it in.
Another T-shirt.
Well, you know what's too bad is, I mean, kind of like we discovered with Willie along the way in Temple of Doom. I really like Allison Duty. I think she's doing a really great job.
Yeah, yeah.
She's kind of knocking it out of the park with what she has, but I think you're right, Bert. Like they give her a lot of emotions in this movie, and we're always confused by them. We don't know why she's crying about books. We don't know why she's crying about Kazim. We don't know, like, you know, she's super into rubbing Indy's nose in it that she tricked him, but then she's conflicted about being a Nazi. Like, it doesn't add up to a actual person.
Exactly.
It's very,
What's
confusing.
What's difficult and almost unfair is I feel like the directors or writers are trying to make me invested in her and her fate. Like they're trying to make me care about her, but she's still evil, but I'm supposed to care about her, but she's really steely and cold and strategic. And she plays, you know, Indy, and I'm supposed to believe that Indy's totally in love with her. And I love Allison Duty, but I can't figure out how I'm supposed to be invested in Elsa.
Yeah, that's the problem. She.
And so it's
you see her
a little
sad,
bit,
so you're like, oh, I feel bad for her. Boy, why do I feel bad
or,
for her?
she's
an
a real
awful Nazi.
person,
Wait a minute.
she's a real person inside. Or I hope she makes it to the end. I'm not sure.
Well, that's
you know,
that's the worst part is she doesn't feel like a real person inside.
Yeah. That's
Like you nailed it, Britt. It feels like there's not a lot of depth there, and I'm not sure exactly what it is that causes that, but I agree. It feels like she's sort of shadowy.
She's just she's kind of all over the place a little bit.
Yeah.
I honestly think that they thought originally, like, let's make her full-blown Nazi, and then they pulled it back and said, no, let's make her sympathetic. And then they waffled, and then went, well, she's Nazi, but she's sympathetic, and she's okay. And that's why today we don't remember her.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because no one forgets Willie.
Right.
right.
Yeah, they most people can't stand her.
Yeah.
But they don't forget her.
But she's very clear. She's like a kind of one note, you know, fish out of water, annoying lady. And so there's nothing enigmatic or confusing about her. She's just Willie. Whether you like it or not, she's Willie.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would take much to make Elsa kind of make more sense and be more relatable and be more sympathetic. I think like just you tweak a couple of things here and there. Like for one thing, meld her with Donovan. I'm liking that idea more
Yeah,
and more.
I like that too.
That if they were just the same character, then she would be driving the evil ship, which started off as the good ship, and then like Indy's in her clutches and stuff. And
I wish that the transformation or the unmasking, like the Scooby-Doo unmasking of both of them, hadn't happened so early in the movie.
yeah, that is awkward.
Like I feel like if they'd left at least one of them or both of them until like this point in the movie, it would have hit maybe with a little more gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have played off of that tension if they kept one of them seeming like a good person.
Yeah, Donovan, watch out for Elsa. She's a Nazi. Oh yeah.
There's another enormous question I have here, and it's a big general one. Kazim says he's a messenger from God, and then says, quote, "For the unrighteous, the cup of Christ holds everlasting damnation." So, first of all, is Kazim a messenger from God? Like, is he literally a messenger from God? And if that's true, what the hell kind of reality cannonball run race is Yahweh running? Like, because, you know, so he hides the Grail on Earth, then he leaves markers, then he sends out messengers, but at the end, only the righteous can win anyway. Mm-hmm. So you need to be righteous to win, no matter what. So it doesn't even, like, that's the final booby trap, is whether or not you're righteous. And then I thought, well, what difference does it make if Hitler procured the Grail? You just get killed.
Yeah.
Well,
you kill the whole army if everybody sips from it.
Well, here's the ironic thing of that, is we're talking about a New Testament treasure, so we ought to heed New Testament tradition here. And in New Testament tradition, when Paul wrote his letter to the Romans, he said nobody was righteous. And so does that mean that anybody who drinks from the cup of Christ, anybody who drinks from the Grail, is going to have everlasting damnation? Like, it seems like there wouldn't be anybody that's excluded from that.
You're right. Like a little bit of a cast the first stone vibe.
Or is it just like if you drink from the Grail, you never die, and damnation is basically you're always going to be separated from God, and if you never die, you're never, if you follow these precepts.
Yahweh and his monkey shines buffoonery. I feel like what a great.
It's like a Twilight
that's
Zone.
Awesome.
It's like
what
a Yahweh
great,
Twilight
I got a
Zone
great.
episode.
Yeah, it's like a Yahweh Twilight Zone. He sets up the race, but nope, nobody's righteous.
Back in my church-going days, I do remember getting the clear message that I wasn't okay. That I wasn't, no humans were righteous. No humans were going to get into heaven.
Right.
Everybody's fallible and messed up. There might be one guy in one story at some point who's good enough to get into heaven and stuff. But yeah, you get that sense of like, any Indiana Jones drinking out of the cup of Christ, that's going to work out okay. Not according to what I've read for 20 years. But the other weird thing about this is that for the unrighteous, the cup of Christ holds everlasting. There's nothing in the movie that supports that. Like I think he just made that up. Like again, I don't think he knows what he's talking about. I think he just he's got
I don't either.
Book collection about the cup of Christ.
I don't think he's a messenger from God. I think he just he's kind of a crank and he's got this.
I mean, what's fascinating is if you believe Kazim, and I think you're supposed to here.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to also.
You're supposed to believe that he's a messenger from God. Then that's literally Yahweh helping out Donovan.
So he's
he's
like,
a messenger saying don't go for the Holy Grail.
Oh, but God knows that like an actual unrighteous guy is not going to be swayed.
Well, no, but that's also like in the whole story of Jonah, when God was going to destroy Nineveh, he made him go and preach that people would repent because he didn't want to destroy them, and Jonah's like, no, destroy him. So it's like he wants to give Donovan a chance, even if Donovan doesn't deserve a chance. And Donovan, given the chance, just walks away from it.
Jonah never got over that whale thing.
Was that pre-whale or post-whale?
That was pre Big Fish.
Oh,
not
really?
actually a whale.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's true. It was a big fish.
30 footer.
What's that pre-whale or post?
It makes a difference.
It does. I know. It does. Well, so but that just raises a great question. So, God is actually speaking to the Nazis and Donovan here through Kazim.
Well, Kazim would like you to think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the script writers would like you to think that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But it's interesting because Elsa seems genuinely troubled by what he says. And then
Right.
Donovan just kind of gives her some side eye and walks away. Like, you believe this nonsense?
Yeah. I don't know if she's
Yeah.
upset about what he's saying. I think she's still sort of just upset about him like being dead and he's a souvenir of her nice times in Venice. And she got to make out with archaeologists.
I don't understand. Why is she so distraught that Kazim is dead?
Well, I forgot about
makes
that.
no
They had a
sense.
boat
She's
ride
like,
together.
We
Exactly, that's
dropped
what I'm
him off
saying.
Yeah.
at.
Maybe they
Yeah,
had
she's all-
they had like a nice
yeah, but-
conversation and they talked about their parents and
She was trying on the shoes of a good person. She was walking around as a good person, pretending, and it's seeing him dying here now. It's like, oh, that's not gonna. I guess I'm
No,
not really
she's.
good.
You mean to tell me she's sitting there? We'll always have the jetty.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's ridiculous.
Oh, that guy handed us the rope. He sat through our whole conversation. Oh, it seems so long ago and so recent.
that could have been like a 45-minute boat ride though. They could have gotten to know each other pretty well.
Yeah. So, where'd you get your fez?
Yeah, but she's still super dyed-in-the-wool Nazi.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't
yeah.
care. So
Well,
she gets
I don't
sad
know.
when a
Yeah.
couple
The problem with
books
Elsa
burn.
was I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, well,
And I think they're trying to paint
Yeah.
that she's maybe not a dyed-in-the-wool Nazi.
they are. They're trying to paint that, but yeah. Well, she's pretty in the thick of, the Third Reich.
Well, I think what they're going for this whole movie is Darth Vader standing in front of the Emperor while he starts torturing Luke with the blue lightning, and you see that battle going on within him.
Yeah.
Like, which way do I choose? And I think that's what they're trying to go for with her this entire movie, but I don't feel like it lands.
Yeah, because like just seconds ago, she was like, "Oh, it's Jones, all right. The heck with that guy." Yeah, and like
Yeah.
like her quasi sympathetic emotions just kind of come and go kind of randomly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to like.
Unless
it's hard
she's
to-
like, that's Indiana Jones.
yeah, yeah. She said, "Oh, it's Jones, all right. He's never gonna like me again."
Well, can we talk about the budget of this film?
Yeah.
But sure.
48 million. And
Wow.
adjusted for inflation, 98.
Is that even a lot these days? I don't
Wow.
I know, that's my thought. Like, that's not a lot.
I wish they had spent $50 million and just cleaned up those plane shots.
Yeah.
Actually, I wish they had spent $45 million and $10.
Yeah.
I think another $100 would have made that book
Yeah.
burning pyre a little better.
I would have added at least another couple thousand to keep the Pat Roach scene. in, too.
I watched that book burning scene. You are hypercritical. Like, it's okay. Like, it's
On the
not.
big screen, I'm telling you, on the big screen in 1989, I was like, "Oh, really? Come on, these guys used to be really good at what they do." You could literally see through it. You could see like that it was a hollow, empty thing with like some books piled on top of it.
We get some kind of Raiders magic here. Indy punches a guy off of a horse, and then he punches a guy from the horse. And the
Yeah.
music here is pure like Raiders hero music.
Yeah, it is. You want to do some homework, don't you, Pete?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Study for an exam tomorrow morning.
Yeah. What? Who are those guys? Are those the mercenaries from the Republic of Hatay?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are that's the armed escort that Your Highness promised.
Well, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell if there were also some soldiers in that escort too, because some of those soldiers looked a little like they wouldn't have measured up to the Nazi army. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a hodgepodge. Do you think Kazim recognizes Elsa, by the way, as he's dying?
Oh, that's a good question.
Does he remember her from the boat? She kind of looks like David Bowie in this scene, like a young David Bowie.
Yeah, she does. I
She
know what
totally
you mean.
does, Yeah.
She looks really out of place. Like she's got that little boyish looking,
Yeah.
like a boyish hat, and she's always like, "Oh my God, not Kazim! What are we doing here?
Yeah.
This was supposed to be a fun procession."
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's she looks really out of order or something. Like
Yeah.
like my Elsa Librium is off.
I didn't know you had Elsa Librium.
Yeah,
And her
I
head
think
is
that's the
like
problem.
half the size of Donovan's. Like she looks
Yeah.
tiny in this film
Yeah.
compared to him.
Up
She's
up
awfully
to this
cute.
point, I think this is Donovan's most sinister moment.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah, well, he does that a beautiful sinister. He goes. I think he goes, who is he? Like it's very
Yeah.
sterile
Yeah.
and kind of just goes, who is he?
Yeah.
He doesn't even like the guy's dying in front of him. He's like, who is he?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost one word.
Who is it?
Does how does Kazim die? Like by strawberry juice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strawberry
Over
juice.
there
Like he
with a
spilled
thing of
his,
Kool-Aid.
his peanut butter and jam all over his shirt.
He does. It looks like he's got a couple of splatches of red.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of bright, like what was it? What was the one Kool-Aid we used to drink all those summers? The red one, Tommy.
The red one was I can only remember the blue. There was Purple Saurus Rex. That's not it. Great Blue Dini. That's not it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the red one was.
The red one was.
Oh, it was. Oh man. Somebody look up 1990
Yeah.
Kool-Aid flavors. Thank you.
I think it was. I think Arterial Joy.
Yeah. Like, would it be
I think that's what it
considered
was.
too gory for? This is PG-13, isn't it? This movie,
Uh-huh.
I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Like, would it be too gory if there were actually holes in his clothes?
It's not so
Around
much
those
that he needs
bullet
holes.
or
It
blood
could have been like
splotches?
a slightly darkened circle. You know, like in movies when
Yeah.
they do that movie magic stuff and they
Right.
pay people $45 million.
This is post 1987 when somehow movie blood got really, really good. And RoboCop.
It's like somebody,
Total Recall.
shook up like a red Faygo and opened it on him.
Yeah.
They shook up.
Yeah.
It just looks weird.
Well, it doesn't look like it's from him. Like you said.
No,
there's
it doesn't
hole in
look
it.
Right. It's not coming from
you're
inside
looking-
his outfit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost makes me wonder if he's not dead.
Right.
He's just pretending.
He's pulling that. Remember in Raiders, like
Guys,
Indy's thought he got
guys,
shot.
Stop.
He died of an appendicitis.
Exactly.
Drank
So,
the Faygo Red Pop too quickly.
Last Crusade was the first Indiana Jones movie that was PG-13.
Right.
Compare Last Crusade to Temple of Doom, and you think, oh my god.
Right. In terms of
Yeah.
blood curdling madness. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So,
Yeah.
compare the two in your
Yeah.
head.
Which is weird because there's like this weirdly like overtly tame stuff like
Well,
this
yeah,
like
Temple
slightly
of
blotched
Doom.
red.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Temple of Doom's the first PG-13, right?
No, it was PG.
No. Yeah.
They
That was the one
invented
that
Oh,
led to
was it they-
PG-13.
after.
My mistake.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
mistake.
Damn it, Jerry.
That and Gremlins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gremlins. That's right.
Well, and then we end up with a very, very sad sack looking Marcus, just
Yeah.
sitting in the tank, looking all around, trying to look as sad as he possibly can.
Oh,
Sad.
nobody likes me. I'm in the tank all by myself.
Well, it's like he heard Henry coming, and he's like, I'm gonna play the martyr. I'm just gonna pretend. I'm just gonna make him see how sad I am.
Yeah. Maybe he was being like a field worm and having an awesome time in the tank, and then he's like, "Oh wait, somebody's coming! I gotta act like I'm real sad, out of my element." Yeah,
I think he's sitting there. He's like, they canceled art classes today. Where's my applesauce? There was applesauce here somewhere. Bingo!
they don't have the
Bingo.
cinnamon for my oatmeal.
Bingo! Bingo! Bingo!
No, Marcus, it's not bingo today.
It's not bingo today. Oh my! He does. He looks around. I'm not in third grade anymore. It's just really weird.
And then Henry just kind
it is.
of prances down through the hatch. He's like skipping almost. He's so happy about this.
No way, he's gonna get caught.
Well, speaking of bingo,
Oh,
hey,
Were we?
something's
Oh, yeah,
coming over the
bingo.
wires.
Hey.
Yes, bingo.
Bingo, bingo, bing, bing, bingo,
Yeah.
bing, bingo, bingo.
This just in from the Free Space every episode. Professor Christy Porter says, in addition to camels, what bullet points does Sala put in his resignation letter?
Hat confiscating.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yelling.
Yelling.
Yeah.
Belittling.
General belittlement.
yeah.
Yeah, general belittlement.
Not accepting input from the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually not being used for what he was originally hired for.
Yeah.
Which is, best digging, desert scapes, knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And he just threw in the pugilism.
Yeah.
That was just a bonus. He just threw that in for free.
Yeah. Almost worked.
Yeah. Bowling, balling.
Oh man, I'm sad now.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm gonna block
Really?
this. Yeah, I feel
It took 3 goddamn movies, but it worked.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here in the tank now, looking around, really sad.
Well, why? What is it? It has nothing to do with Marcus. It has nothing to do with the confusing Elsa. It's all about this Sala yelling, isn't it?
It is a little bit. I think it's cumulative.
yeah.
Like I've tried so
You and
hard.
Bert are sitting next to each other in the tank going, I used to like Last Crusade.
Seriously.
Cumulative. This is the straw that the camel was the straw
Oh.
that broke the camel's back, huh?
Wait, what?
Huh,
Oh,
Peter?
No, I'll bounce back. I'm just having a minute.
there you go.
Because Indy
An
yelled
Indiana Jones minute. Thank
in a
you.
manner that made you uncomfortable.
Like that's a good place to end it.
Sure.
Bert, you have any final thoughts before we ride off into the sun for some hamburger?
No, my final.
For some nothing bratwurst.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, not worst.
my final thought is, everyone should subscribe to the Indiana Jones Minute / Patreon or reverse. Sorry, the conversations that go on there are amazing, and
Oh, thank you.
no, they seriously are. Like, whether it's E.T., whether it's Jaws, Close Encounters, all those, it's such a joy to listen to. So thank you all. Thank you, you guys. This was amazing.
Thank you, Bert.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Bert.
thanks
This was
for
a lot of
coming
fun.
on.
Yeah, and you just gave the best plug you possibly could. So yeah, you can drop the mic, and we'll drop the mics, and everybody else,
Boom.
you can drop your phone and come back here tomorrow, and hopefully it's still working. And join us for minute 88 of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
I have China Girl by David Bowie in my head right now.
How about confusing girl?